It's time for another Friday Sews, and I have a lot to share with you today. So grab yourself a drink and a snack and come hang out with me for a while. My name is Sarah, and my channel is Naughty Gnome Crafts. I love textile crafts, and I love to share them with you, and that's what my channel is all about. You can find me on Instagram as Naughty Gnome. So in today's episode, I have one finished garment to talk to you about, and I want to talk to you about it in some detail. And then I have some plans for next week, and then I want to do a little mini pattern haul and another fabric haul at the very end of the episode. So before I forget, I am wearing my Hampton jean jacket from Alina Design Company out of a stretch denim that I got from D&H Fabrics, and then I'm also wearing my Viscose Veronica tank, and I do have full reviews of both of these patterns, so I will link them up in the cards in case you want to go back and check them out. So my finished garment this week is a Simplicity pattern. It's Simplicity 9376, and it's these pull-on elastic waist pants. And I made view D, which is the view that the model is wearing. It has a flat front and elasticated back. It has slash pockets. There's pleats, and then they're fairly tapered legs, and it ends in a cuff. So the fabric that I used for this was an older fabric that I bought back in 2018 from Fabric Mart, and it's a wool suiting. I'm not entirely sure because I bought it so long ago if it's a wool blend or if it's 100% wool, but it's definitely a suiting fabric. And it's in this camel plaid, and the plaid is fairly subtle. I would say that when it's actually on the body, it's not super noticeable that it is a plaid. It kind of reads as just straight up like khaki kind of pants. So I made the size 10, and I did kind of mix up some of the views. One of the views has belt loops, so I did add the belt loops because I just think that elastic waist pants look a little bit better when you wear them with a belt. They look less like elastic waist pants. I went ahead and I cut the front waistband on the bias, and then I did my very best to match the plaids. It's not perfect, but I think I did a decent job. We've got center front, center back, and then one of the side seams is really good and the other side seam is not as good because by that point I was just getting a little bit tired of the project. And then of course the inseam you can't match the plaids because you have to stretch the back a little bit to fit so that the plaids are not going to match on the inseam. And then I did add the little cuffs here. So as I stated, I made the size 10, but I cut the size 8 elastic length because I knew that I would just need this to be a little bit more snug on my waist. Okay, so let's talk about pattern alterations. So the very first thing that I did was I shortened the legs by 8 inches, and I just compared the inseam length of the pant pattern to my normal inseam length that I feel comfortable wearing, and that's how I knew that I needed to shorten it 8 inches. There is a lengthen shorten line, I think at the knee on the pattern, and that's where I did my shortening. And then once I did that, I worked on the back crotch fit. So I've been on a pants fitting journey for a little while. I've been using the L-shaped ruler, which was a system that I learned about from Wynn Michelle. And if I can find her links for how she describes the system, it's basically just a way for you to measure your crotch length and your crotch depth accurately and translate that to a paper pattern. It's been very, very useful to me. And so I used that again to determine how much I needed to alter the crotch, but the alteration this time, the method, I did it a little bit differently, so that's what I wanted to share with you. So let me just grab the back pattern piece and I'll describe it in more detail. So when I put the L-shaped ruler on the front pattern piece, it seemed reasonably close to my measurements. I would say that the front crotch was just maybe 3/8 of an inch or so off, and to me that just wasn't enough to make an adjustment, so I left the front piece alone. But the back piece was indicating that I needed to add 1 5/8 inches to the back crotch because I have fairly muscular thighs, and so I need extra fabric to go between my legs to cover my thighs. And if I don't do that, the fabric gets pulled from the back towards the front in order to cover my thighs, and I end up with a giant wedgie, which is clearly not very attractive. So I definitely need to make adjustments when I make pants. So this time, the way that I made that adjustment was on Big 4 patterns, they pretty much always give you the crotch line, which is very handy. So I sliced across the crotch line so that I had the top separated from the leg of the pant. And then I shifted the crotch point over so that I had the extra 1 5/8 inches that I needed. And then I just taped it down and then smoothed out this line here so that it would, you know, it was nice and smooth. And then when you do this shift, obviously you can see like this little stair step that results here. Then you just smoothly try to blend from the top here down to the leg so that it has a nice continuous curve. And it was a little bit of guesswork because I used my hip curve, and obviously you can do it different ways. You can make it very curvy or you can make it more straight. I actually am pretty straight through the hips, so I tried to make it as smooth and like not curvy as I could in order to blend that out. So that's how I made the adjustment, and I think it worked pretty well. There's some fit issues that I'm not quite sure about that we'll get to, but so I constructed the pants from there, and these pants are extremely easy to put together. If I had not been trying to match plaids, I really think that I probably could have sewn up these pants in a day, even with like, I have less time to sew now that I'm back to the office. Even with that, I think I could have sewn them up really fast. But because I was trying so hard to match the plaids, I had to stop at several points, and you know, like my plaids would be a little bit off in like a section, and so I'd have to rip that out and then realign it and stitch it again. So that was just more time consuming. It did basically take me all week long to finish these. But as I stated, if I wasn't trying to match plaids, I think I could have sewn it up really quickly. Now let's talk about the fit. So I am going to be inserting some video footage of me wearing the pants, and then probably also some still photos. So when I finished these pants last night, and when I tried them on at night, you know, I put them on and like, they feel great, they look great. But it wasn't until I took the footage today of me modeling them to see some of the issues of like, oh wait, maybe this isn't such a great fit. So I think that overall, that I probably made a size too large. So I made the size 10. I normally make the size 8 in like dresses and tops and stuff. And sometimes I'll make a size 10 in Big 4 if it's a really close fit on the hips, just to make sure that I have enough room for my my lower hip and my thigh. But this time I think that I probably should have made the 8, because as you can see in the footage, it is a little bit baggy in the butt and thigh area, and I think that that's exaggerated by the back elastic. And I know a lot of people love having the flat front and back elastic, but I gotta say, I'm really starting to think that I'm not a fan, because when the back elastic is doing all of the work of holding up the pants, it's got to be like pretty gathered, and that just exaggerates the bagginess in the back, and I just don't really like that look. I think that even with the elastic, I think the elastic makes it look worse, but I do still think that overall it's a little bit, the pants are a little bit too big for me in the hip and thigh area. So like I said, if I were to do this over again, if I were going to make these pants again, I'd probably go ahead and size down to a size 8 and see if that fixes my problems. I think as measured on the pattern, like what it says, what the finished garment measurements are, I believe the hip was supposed to have like 3 or 4 inches of positive ease, which now that I think about it, that's kind of a lot. So I probably should have sized down and had a little bit less positive ease. But I do still think that the pants fit the way that they're intended to. I just don't think that they look that great on me from the back. One thing that I forgot to mention when I was about pattern alterations is that I also, after I did the crotch alteration, I measured the calf on the pattern where the fullest part of my calf is, to make sure that the pants were large enough to skim over my calves, because I've had problems before with pants that taper, that they'll kind of get hung up on my calf and they'll sort of get stuck there when you sit down, like your pants naturally rise up a little bit, and sometimes they can get caught on my calves. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough room in the calf area, and I did go ahead and I added 1 inch to the calf. So by doing that, I just graded out 1/4 inch on each side seam on both the front and the back. So that adds a total of 1 inch. And I think that was actually perfect. I'm very happy with the fit from like the knee to the ankle. I like the way that it tapers. I like that it's like fairly loose, but it's not baggy, I guess, in the lower leg area. And then The other thing about like the style lines and the fit, I did go ahead and add cuffs. And because, so I'm very short, I'm 4'9", and all the style advice will always tell you that when you're as short as I am, you're not supposed to put cuffs on your pants because it like serves as a horizontal line that like makes you look shorter. And that might be true. I'm not saying that's not true, but I think that I like to put cuffs on my pants just because I am so short. I've never been able to buy ready-to-wear pants that have any kind of detail at the ankle because I would just have to chop it off because I was so short. So I think I just like putting cuffs on my pants or details at the bottom of my pants when I sew things just because I can. So I don't know if that makes any sense. You can let me know in the comments if the cuffs were a good idea or a bad idea. But I do like the length that it ended up at. I wanted them to be short enough that I could wear them with ankle boots. And I think that it's actually pretty perfect. Like just a little sliver of ankle shows when I wear ankle boots. When I wear them with like sneakers or sandals or something, they do look a little bit too short. However, these are a wool pants, so the likelihood that I'm going to be wearing them with boots is really high. So those were the little issues that I have with the pants. Overall, I'm reasonably happy with it. I would make these pants again. I think that if I tried it again and sized down to the 8, I might be happier. The only other thing that I might do in the future, I might even go back and do it on these pants, is when you put belt loops on, you only put 2 belt loops on the front. You don't put any belt loops on the back. So it's a little bit awkward having no belt loop in the back. I think I might go back and just add an additional belt loop in the center back here just to like give a space for my belt to go through because it wants to like pop up and down over the elastic. So I might go ahead and go back and add that. But anyway, those were the my finished pants. And oh, I do want to mention about the fabric. So because this is mostly wool, I was worried it was going to be a little bit itchy, but I really didn't want to have to line it. And I would say that they're comfortable enough. They're not the smoothest itch-free fabric that I've ever felt, but for being wool or a wool blend, I'd say that they're pretty decent and I can wear them without feeling uncomfortable. And I'm glad that I made them and I didn't have to line them because I don't think I would have liked these pants lined. But it's maybe not the most smooth, silky feeling, comfortable pants I've ever felt in my life. But they're fine. Let me just put it that way. They're okay. So now let's talk about what I am currently working on. I am determined to get through my Make 9 list this year, and I do have a video checking in mid-year, so I will link that up above. But I only have 2 things left, and so one of them is the Sew Over It 1960s coat. And because this is a coat project, I'm committed to it being a long-term project. I don't want to try to rush my way through it. So I am planning on this being a multi-month project. So my goal for right now is I printed out the pattern and I'm currently working on assembling it and cutting out my size and doing any sort of pattern alterations that I need. Like for example, I know that I'm going to have to shorten the sleeves. I may have to adjust the body length, I'll have to see. But yeah, making those little alterations and getting my pattern prepped and ready. And then my goal by the end of September is to go ahead and get my pattern cut out. So get the fabric cut out, the lining, the interfacing, and then gather all of the supplies that I need to actually sew the coat. Because I think the pattern calls for shoulder pads. I don't know if I want to add the shoulder pads or not because I already have kind of broad shoulders, but I need to think about whether I want to do shoulder pads or not. And then I also need to get buttons. And I would say that normally for like shirts or dresses or something, I don't really care about buttons. If I just buy like bulk, like neutral buttons that I'll just try to use and have on hand. But coats are like the one area that I really care about what the buttons look like. So for this particular coat, it's a navy wool that I'm going to be using, and I want shiny gold buttons. So I need to source those, figure out where I'm going to get them from, and make sure that I get those so that I'm ready to sew in October. So that's what I'm currently working on. And I do have more plans for this next week, but I think first it makes more sense for me to share with you my recent pattern haul. So if you guys watched my previous Friday Sews video, I talked about how I'm working on adding my pattern stash to Trello, and I'm still doing that. I've actually made a lot of progress. It's gone faster than I thought it would. All I have left is to add the patterns from the Bird Style magazines that I have on hand, and then I'll be finished. But one way that Trello has already been helping me tremendously is that when I want to buy new patterns, I make sure to go through my stash in Trello and scroll through and see if I already have something similar. And Joann's had a McCalls sale this weekend. Their patterns were $1.99. And normally what I do is I go to the McCalls website, scroll through the patterns, and make a list of ones that I want. And I still did that this time, but I also cross-checked with Trello to make sure that I didn't already have something similar in my stash already. And I did end up crossing off a few of the patterns that way. But I went ahead and went to Joann's yesterday and picked up 3 patterns to add to my stash. So the first one is the only one that I got that was from the new fall collection, and it's McCalls 8240, and it's for this polo style sweater. And I really like this design. I really like polo neck shirts in general, but I don't think that I currently own any, and I've never made one. But I just like the way that it can look very sort of preppy and elegant. And I think that if I made this in like a soft sweater knit, that it would be really comfortable and snuggly for winter. And I just really like the design of this. So that's why I picked up that one. So the other 2 designs that I got were older, but when I was entering my patterns into Trello, it occurred to me that I don't have a lot of jumpsuit patterns because I've been very anti-jumpsuit until this year. And I currently only own 1 jumpsuit. I have a few rompers, but I only have 1 jumpsuit. And every time I wear that jumpsuit, I just feel like $1,000,000 and I get compliments on it all the time. And so I was thinking I really want to make at least 1 more jumpsuit and make one that's fall and winter appropriate. So I decided to go with a little bit more of a utility kind of feel. And I picked up 2 patterns. I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to make, or I might make both of them. The first one that I got was McCalls 7330, and it's a button style, so it has like a shirt front and then kind of a straight leg pant that you can cuff or not cuff. And I was thinking that if I make this one, or really either of them, I think I might go ahead and make the short sleeve version just so that I could wear it in all seasons. And then for the fall and winter, I could always layer a turtleneck underneath for extra warmth, or I could wear a jacket over top. But making short sleeves, I think, is a little bit more makes it a more versatile, like year-round design. And I also think that it might be easier to get it on and off if you don't have long sleeves. And then the second jumpsuit pattern that I picked up was McCalls 7908. It's a similar style, but it's more of like the flight suit, and it has a zippered front. I wasn't quite sure if this style is kind of on its way out. I did kind of browse some of my favorite ready-to-wear shops just to see if this style of jumpsuit was still around. And it is still available. I will say that a lot of them were on sale, so maybe it is on its way out. But I also just think that this looks really elegant, and I kind of don't care if it's like super in style or not. And I actually have some red stretch denim that I think would be really nice in this. What I liked about this one is that the legs are a little bit wider. I wouldn't call them a wide leg, but they're more of like a straight leg. They don't taper. And I think that that could look really nice for the fall and winter. So those are the 2 patterns that I'm considering. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to get to this project, but I would like to do it relatively soon so that I have it ready for the fall and winter. So now let's talk about Fibre Mood. I have a subscription to Fibre Mood. I have the combo subscription, which I will be getting the paper magazine in the mail. It's not here yet. But with my paper subscription, I also get 5 digital downloads that I can buy their digital patterns from the website and download 5 of them every time they have a new issue. And you're not limited. You can do it from any of their catalog. You don't have to just download patterns from the new issue. So what I typically do is I will go ahead and download the patterns from the new issue that I really like and I'm pretty sure that I want to make, and then maybe a few of the older patterns that I just haven't had a chance to get yet. So I'm just going to share with you the 5 patterns that I chose to download from this issue. The first one is the ermine top. I really loved this top. I have made several button-up shirts from Fibre Mood. I just think that they do button-up shirts really well. They usually have some sort of detail that elevates it above just your typical regular button-up shirt, and this is no exception. So this one has a rounded collar. I think it's just finished with bias tape. It has a pretty high neck, And then the unique detail that it has this V-shaped yoke, and then the fabric underneath is gathered into that yoke, and it just makes a really lovely, beautiful silhouette. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that I have fabric in my stash to make this right now, because I think personally that it would really shine the most in a solid fabric where you can really see the details of that yoke. I think that if you used a print, that those details might get lost. But I do think that this pattern has a ton of potential, that if you're someone who loves color blocking, you could do like a different, like you could do like a solid for the V-shaped yoke and then do a print for the rest of the blouse. For my taste, I think that I would just go with a solid, but I just do think that there's a lot of possibilities, design possibilities with this blouse. I really liked it, so I went ahead and downloaded that one. The next one that I downloaded was called the Tilde, and I think it's the one that they're having a sew-along right now, and so I believe there is a discount on the pattern at this moment if you just want to buy that single pattern. So it's another button-up shirt. It has short sleeves, and the detail on this one is it has a really pointy collar, and it's both a blouse and a dress. I'd probably be more likely to make the blouse than the dress, but I do like both of them. I've seen that pointy collar detail in other patterns, but I don't personally own one like that. So I went ahead and downloaded that as well. Again, like no plans to make it right away, but I think that it actually might be really lovely to make for a summer top in linen. So that's something that I'm considering for a future make. The third pattern that I got is an older one. It's the Alice top. So I saw Whit from Whit Makes and also Lisa from And So On. Both made this last year or this year. It's a sweatshirt, but it has a facing and it has kind of a higher boat neck and it has a V neck in the back. And it's actually reversible because it's a drop shoulder. So you could wear it with a V in the front or in the back. I really like that idea. I like the idea of the versatility. I don't have any fabric on hand to make this, but I think that it would be a really nice change up as a sweatshirt, you know, like not just your standard sweatshirt. It has a little bit more of a feminine detail to it with that neckline, but still very comfortable. So that's why I downloaded that one. The next one that I got is the Julia dress. It's another older pattern. So this is an extremely simple dress. Like it's a pull on over your head style. It has a slight scoop neck, I think. I think there's a pleat in the back, which is the only like detail that makes it interesting. It has an elasticated waist and then kind of a flowy like midi length skirt. Oh, and it also has grown on sleeves. So you don't even have to set in sleeves. So it kind of reminds me of the Tilly and the Buttons Lotta dress. So the reason that I bought this one, even though at first glance it just seems so simple, is that I think that it would be an excellent showcase for a beautiful print. So I have some fabric coming to me in the mail. It's not here yet. I'll share it with you later. But I was just thinking that such a simple, easy to wear dress would be a wonderful showcase for this print that I'm going to be receiving. So I'll share more details with you later when it arrives. But that's why I bought that one. And then the last one that I downloaded is the Betty trousers, and that's from the newest issue. I really like these. There's a Cezanne pair of pants that's very similar. It has a V-shaped yoke in the front and it has pleats, I think, or maybe it doesn't have pleats, I can't remember. But it has a V-shaped yoke in the front, and then the shape is sort of a balloon style, where kind of like the pants that I just made, where it's a little bit baggier in the hip and then it tapers at the leg. And I'm kind of like, that silhouette is growing on me. I would say that because I'm so short, I have to be careful that it doesn't make me look too dumpy. But I do like the style of these. I have some like caramel colored corduroy that's been in my stash for ages. Actually, let me just go get it and show it to you. So I have this caramel colored corduroy that has been in my stash for years. I used it to make my husband a pair of pants. And I have no idea why I bought so much of this, because I still have like over 2 yards of it left over. But anyway, maybe I was going to make him 2 pairs of pants. Who knows? But anyway, don't remember where I got it from. I think it might have a slight stretch, perhaps. Or maybe not. I don't know. It does have a little bit of give here, which will add to the comfort of the pants. But yeah, I just think that these as a pair of Betty trousers is going to be really perfect for fall and winter. Very comfortable to wear, and I do like the style of those pants. So I've never made pants from Fibre before. I've only ever made tops. So this will be an adventure to see if I can get the pants to fit me. And that is going to be the other thing that I'm going to work on after I finish the assembling my 1960s coat. I'm going to go ahead and print out the Fibre Mood Betty trousers and see if I can give them a go. So the last part of this video is going to be a fabric haul. I do apologize that it's going to be such a long video. I personally am pretty anti-long videos, but I know that some people like them. Let me know in the comments if covering all these topics in a Friday Sews is too much for you, or if you enjoy spending all this time with me. It'll help me to figure out what I need to do in the future. But anyway, so as I stated last week, Labor Day, there was a lot of sales, and I ended up buying from 3 shops, and 2 of those orders have come in. So I thought I would just share with you the fabrics that I got. And they've all been pre-washed, and they have not been ironed, so it is what it is. So I'm going to share with you first my Fabric Mart order. So ordering from Fabric Mart for me is always a little bit of an adventure because I'm extremely picky about fabrics. Like, I admit it, I'm a snob. Like, sometimes I know what I like, and sometimes I don't always get what I like, and so there's some disappointment. But with Fabric Mart, usually when I'm ordering, the prices are so low that to me it's worth the gamble. So I will say that some of these fabrics I'm about to show you, I was a little bit disappointed in them, but almost everything that I ordered was $6 a yard. And so for me, it's like, well, at that price, even if I just use it for a muslin or something, it's okay. So the first thing that I got was one of those things, it's like a tiny disappointment. So I got this Ponte, and I'm sure that it was a rayon-based Ponte because I will not buy Ponte that's 100% polyester, so I'm sure it has rayon in it, but I will say that it feels like a polyester. It doesn't feel super nice, but it has a decent amount of stretch, like not a ton. It just doesn't feel super smooth, I guess, is part of what I don't like about it. It has a texture to it, kind of a matte texture that I don't really like. This is a navy and a cream stripe, so the reason that I bought this is because I used to own a blazer from Old Navy that was a knit blazer in a stripe, and I wore that thing to death. It didn't last that long because it was not a super high quality make, obviously, but I have always wanted to recreate it because I really, really did love having a striped blazer, and in a Ponte it was just very comfortable to wear and kind of went with everything. So that's why I got this. I don't have a pattern for this yet, but I do want to make a striped Ponte blazer at some point. The next fabric was a cotton sateen shirting. It was an ex-designer thing. This was another thing that was a little bit of a disappointment. I like the hand of the fabric. I think that it's nice and drapey and soft. I think that it'll make a wonderful shirt. I bought it to make an oversized shirt. What I don't like about this is that the plaid is printed on. So I thought that it was going to be yarn dyed. I don't like it when plaids and stripes are printed on fabric because they can be printed off grain, and that just drives me crazy. So I haven't checked yet. I don't know if this is off grain. I just would have preferred it to be yarn dyed, but since it's not, it's fine. Like I said, almost everything that I bought was like $6 a yard, and this might have even been cheaper than that. So I do think that the print is pretty. It reminds me of like a Burberry type plaid. And I think it will work well for the application that I wanted it for, which is an oversized button-up shirt. But yeah, I just would have preferred if it were yarn dyed. This next fabric is a rayon jersey. It was super cheap. I want to say this one was like $3 a yard, and I almost bought like 10 yards of it, and then I was like, Sarah, what are you doing? So I just ended up with 2 yards, which is a much more reasonable amount. This one's really nice. It's nice and stretchy. It's very drapey and soft. The main color is sort of like an oatmeal color, and then the stripes are black. And this I got 2 yards because I want to make a pattern emporium, keep it simple babe tee, but I want to make the long sleeve version with the turtleneck. I just think that having a turtleneck like this for winter is going to be perfect. So that's why I got this fabric. The next piece that I got is a rib knit. This is another ex-designer. This one is really nice. It's nice and stretchy. I believe it's like a rayon-based rib knit. It's pretty, it's solid. You can kind of see through it, but I think that like if you were wearing it, it would not look sheer. It has a nice hand to it. I got 2 yards of this, and I'm going to make a True Bias Nico top. I just think that a long sleeve turtleneck for the winter is going to be really perfect, and I love this color. It's sort of a peacock bluey green color, and I just think that this shade of green is just lovely and beautiful. So that's going to use for this. If you've noticed that a lot of these are knits, it's because I was noticing that my knit stash is getting low. It's not that I never buy knits, but I do think that I end up churning through and turning over my knit stash much faster than my wovens. And so, I don't know, I just every once in a while I feel the need to stockpile some knits. So this next fabric that I got is another rayon jersey. I got 3 yards of this. And this print is really beautiful. It has a very pale pink background, and then it has these lovely pink and sort of grayish flowers. And I bought this to make a wrap dress or a faux wrap dress. Either way, I want it to look like a wrap dress. And even though this fabric is relatively thin, I think that in a wrap dress application, it'll be fine. And yeah, I haven't settled on a pattern yet, but 3 yards is plenty for me to make it into a wrap dress. And yeah, I just think that this fabric is really pretty. I might not get to this until spring because it does feel like more of a spring-summer fabric, but I do think that the print is lovely. So the next fabric that I got is really nice. I bought a wool rayon poly blend suiting in this pinstripe, and this was one of the more expensive ones. I want to say this was $12 a yard, but it has a really nice hand. It's very drapey, and the reason that I went ahead and got this blend is because I wanted to make sure that it was soft enough that I would not have to line it, because I want to make pants. And as I stated with my other Simplicity pants, I don't want them to be itchy, and so this is actually perfect. It's super soft. It doesn't feel prickly at all, and it, like I said, it has a nice drape, and so I think it's going to be perfect for pants. I went ahead and got 4 yards of this because I want to make a pantsuit. So I want to do wide leg trousers and then possibly like a cropped blazer, and I'll probably never wear them together because this is like super formal. And if I went to work, I work at a university, and so if I went into work in a full-on like black pinstripe suit, people would just look at me and be like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you so dressed up?" But I do think that I would wear them as separates like all the time. So that's why I bought enough to make a pantsuit, even though I probably won't actually wear it as a pantsuit. So yeah, I would line the jacket, just do like a lined blazer, and then I would not line the pants. And I just think that these as a wide leg trouser would be really lovely. So my last Fabric Mart fabric is probably the biggest disappointment. I admit that I'm super bummed about this one. So I bought this black rib knit, and you can already see how sheer it is. I bought 4 yards of this because I wanted to make the new Mimi G Simplicity dress. I don't remember the number, but I'll put the envelope on the screen. And it's her raglan dress with the cutout. And I really wanted to make that dress, but I can't make it in this because this is like completely see-through, and like the dress is already revealing with the cutout. Like I can't imagine having a sheer dress with a cutout. That would just be so trashy. So I cannot use this fabric for that dress. And I got 4 yards because I was going to make the dress and then also have enough left over to make a long sleeve top. I don't even think I'd feel comfortable in a top. Like this is just so sheer. So I have 4 yards of this and I don't know what to do with it. I think that maybe I could use it for like a summer weight cardigan or something, which I don't need right now. So I'm just going to put it in my stash and then figure out what to do with it later. But yeah, I am super bummed about this because I really, really wanted to make that Mimi G dress. I could use the green rib knit, but I don't think I want to do that because the color's too bright, and I feel like it would be too attention seeking with the cutout, just for me personally. I wanted to make the dress in a dark color, like a black or a navy. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be making that Mimi G dress anytime soon because I just don't have fabric for it, and I don't want to go out and buy more at this point. But yeah, this was a pretty big disappointment. If you have any ideas of what I could do with 4 yards of a sheer rib knit that's not super trashy looking, please let me know. So the last 2 pieces of fabric that I have to share with you are from D&H Fabrics. They had a sale on very specific items, and they were selling their Mind the Maker denim for $10 a yard, which is insane. Mind the Maker is a name brand, designer brand, and I looked it up on Minerva, and I think that they were selling theirs for like $26 a meter. So $10 a yard was just a bargain that I couldn't pass up. So I bought 2 different colors. I got this deep indigo. This is a 10-ounce denim. It's 90% cotton, 10% poly. And then I got 4 yards of this one, and then I ended up getting 2 yards of the black denim. So I'm going to make jeans. I want to make like straight leg and wide leg jeans. And then for the indigo, where I got the 4 yards, I also want to make a shirt jacket because I just think that that would be perfect. I do want to make another denim jacket like this eventually, but I think for now I'd rather make a shirt jacket. It's a little bit of a different style. It would give me more variety in my wardrobe. So I want to use the dark indigo for a shirt jacket and a pair of jeans, and then this black for probably a straight leg pair of jeans. So that is everything that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed spending some time with me, and if you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll see you next time.